Hello, dates, greetings. Welcome to this wondrous world experience. We are just coming online just to say hello to everybody who's starting to sign in. Beautiful to see some names of a few golden oldies, some classics from way back when, 2012 and onwards. My name is Anya. I am so looking forward to spending this Source Sunday with y'all. How are you? Let's take this time to recap on how our week has been, how life has been unfolding and flowing, hopefully. What part of the world you're tuning in from, just as we all gather here today for a little conscious upgrade chat on all things love. Yes, it is the month of love, so I'd love to know who you've been loving, what you've been loving, and what you will continue going forth loving. These conscious upgrade chats, they're really key in all of us upgrading the way that we've been living, loving, seeing life. And I feel for me, it's important to, as a researcher of life, of psychology, and human behavior, what better way than to have these open discussions that allow for us in a space of no judgment, in a space of conversation and, understanding? What better way to see how it is we have come to be the people or the society that we're currently all experiencing? So I'm very excited for what's to come today. And although it's a sensitive topic, I feel, because I feel not we don't all understand love or how it's come to be what we know it as today. Marriage between a man and woman, and now marriage between people who just love, and then the things that come between that, like open relationships, extramarital affairs. I feel it's a great start to the month of love to have this open discussion and say, well, actually, if we look at it like this, if we address it from the light realm, or look at it in terms of energetics, then perhaps we start to see love and understand love in a way that allows for us to be more free, liberal with the way that we address love or address ourselves when it comes to loving relationships. So, just to stipulate the rules and regulations here, there are no rules or regulations. It's an open forum that allows for you to put up your hand, which is a icon on the lower part of your app. I think if you press more and then participants, you should have an option to raise hand. What that does is signals to us that you are in a quiet space, you're wanting to share, like I'm doing right now, sharing on our Facebook page, that the conversation will be flowing in right about now. So let's get informal and really, really just open ourselves up to see what it is that flows between us. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, all those in between still deciding. This is Conscious Upgrade Chat, powered by the School of Awakening. My name is Anya, and I'm a light observer here at the school. And by light observer, I mean someone who's also on a research quest, questioning what it is that makes us the people we are today in love, life, and awakening. What it is that's happened in our world or is happening in our world that leads us to make certain decisions. As we are a single organism. If you do believe in the law of oneness, I do. And I feel that when part of us is hurting, all parts of us are hurting, be it mentally, emotionally, physically. Feel that we are all on a journey to remember all the great stuff that we're here to do and experience and to be. So we come together, and we have been coming together since 2012, where the Awakening Society formed. And from there, a group of random people decided to join together in awakening matrimony and continue on this conscious research quest to really question the things that keep us up at night, to start dissolving that pink elephant in our own room and consciousness so that we could be present in the present and release, remove, and clear anything that happened in our past that keeps us at arm's length from love, from friendship, and connection. So, here today, myself, Light Observer, Maya, Portal Coordinator, and Alexa, your local agent of change, will open up the floor and invite each and every one of you to share your opinion as a student, as somebody who is yet to be a student, as a light conscious member, a gold conscious member, what it is you would do or why it is you think that we as a people perhaps blur the lines or don't know where the line is when it comes to love. So today's topic is, what if you fall for someone who is already committed to love or not to love? That, my friends, is what's up for discussion here today on Zoom Flow, our 24-hour live stream platform. Now, remember, rules of engagement. In order for you to unmute yourself, which all of you have the ability to do, you must ensure that you raise your hand, signaling that you are in a quiet place. And then I will go ahead and give you the nod so you can unmute yourself. And all that does is just allows for us to just have a conversation in an orderly fashion. But everything else, there is no judgment. It is a no judgment zone. We are wanting to really understand through having your input, your experiences, because we all see things differently. We've all experienced life differently. We're all at different ages and stages in the game. Yes, yes. So it is with my full open and welcome and blessing that you have to join the conversation. So, all good? Is this all clear? I'm waiting for your responses here. Goody, goody. So, I will not be the one to start because I am here as a researcher wanting to know the psyche behind those who find themselves in relationships where the other person is already committed. Where do you sit on that? Let's start there. To love or not to love if someone is already committed? Over to you. Chat box or raise hand. Self-love, work on self. Okay. Love is unconditional. So which type of love are we talking about here? Good question. I feel the love we're talking about here is a love of a romantic nature. Yes, thank you, Star. If a person's already committed to somebody else, then you entering that relationship with that person is what's up for questioning. I see Alexa has her hand up. Hello, Alexa. You are free to unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for today's topic, and I feel it's a little bit controversial one as well. I understand that modern society is, let's say, is allowing to have the relationship outside of your marriage, for example, or of your committed relationship. And from my experience, I was once in a situation when the person I was with many years ago decided to have another relationship with someone else, and that broke my heart. So my question would be, as a researcher or as a student of life, what actually makes that person to go to the third party, to invite the third person into the relationship? What makes them not being open and say, you know what, this is not working for me at this moment. I'm not receiving this from you. Can we make it happen? Can we change it? Can we work around it? I think that having an honest conversation rather than going out there and hurting the feelings of the people who are involved would be more is something that I would be
More
hopeful.
appreciative of.
Exactly, and I would like to experience rather than having this betrayal, which is heartbreaking, which is breaking your mind, is breaking your soul, is breaking your emotions, and then you feel really bad about that.
Okay, well, thank you. You brought up some great points there, in that conversation and communication is key to any relationship, be it a romantic one or be it one just between friends. Secondly, and two people, only those two people in the relationship know what it's like to be in that relationship. And so having conversations, and I feel this is key for all of us, whether you're in a relationship, entering one, or leaving one. Communicate, talk, because with that, and we've known from our past research and various, actually season 5 of Conscious Upgrade Chat was all about love, and this topic actually came from a question asked in that season, right? So we just wanted to bring that up because Valentine's is right around the corner, and some of us may be finding ourselves in those situations, every every saint had a past and every sinner has a future. Not to put anybody under those titles, but it's really just to say we have and may find ourselves in situations or in relationships where the other person is committed. For me, from what I've understood about our past research, is that when that happens, it means there is a void in that relationship. Considering we have 4 bodies, right? And let me know if you're with me here. We have our mental body. Does that person tick your mental quanta? Your spiritual body, does that person tick that box? Your emotional, does that person also fulfill your emotional needs? And then the physical, the intimate. So when we have seen those 4, or have ticked those 4 boxes, then that conversation between you two hopefully should be open, should be free. I feel when we start wavering our personal values just to fit into another person's agreement frames, then a void does birth, because you're not being true to yourself, and everything is energy, right? So if everything is energy, and you are not speaking up your truth just so you can be in agreement with that person, then perhaps we're looking at where these voids could start popping up. Secondly, just go back to your point, Alexa. You had mentioned that society is promoting a certain type of love. I mean, I think with that, that is where we really stand or evaluate where our values are. I know a person who has a strong opinion on values, not even strong opinion on values, but is key instrument to me actually, remembering my values, would be portal coordinator here, a very good listener and speaker. Because I know when we were discussing this, the points that Maya kept making is values. It all comes down to values. So I'd like to bring you online. You touched some great points there on everything that is happening in our world, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. Values is something key and instrumental to us perhaps experiencing more harmony. Hi there, Maya.
Hi. Thank you very much for bringing me on to this conversation. I love conceptual upgrade chats, conscious upgrade chat, and I think this topic is a juicy one for sure. Controversial, as Alexa mentioned as well. And just what you were saying now is when it comes to a situation, whether we're on one side where, we might be that person who's in a relationship and we find ourselves feeling that attraction towards someone else, having that reflection, that observation of what is it in me that is missing with this initial person who I'm in a relationship with, which this other person is bringing out. And I think it's also important to recognize that we are multifaceted. We do have those 4 bodies. Like you said, our emotions, our mental space, our spiritual body, physical as well. But finding out what it is that you value in a relationship is key, because what if you are in a space right now in your life where you aren't really serious about necessarily connecting with someone on a spiritual level, and what you're seeking right now is maybe more physical? Or it could also allow us to reflect on what were the values that we were brought up on. How did our parents treat one another? Was our father or our mother responding in relationships the same way? Did we see 2 people commit and work through their issues? Or did we see 2 people go through their current experiences in avoidance or in conflict or deciding to be with others? Because at a young age, I guess that's when we are sponges in that imprint period. We decide how relationships work. And it goes back to what we value in that sense as well. So I do feel that whether we're aware of those values, those subconscious programs that we have, it gives us an opportunity through this conversation to reflect, I guess. I wonder if anyone can relate or type in on the chat box.
What do you think, Anya?
It's exactly that. These conversations, although I love how you two keep saying controversial. I'm like, it's not controversial. If anything, it gives us the opportunity to really see what it is we're creating collectively, right? What it is that we're
True.
creating by not having these conversations. It's like, I feel when you don't talk about a thing, you just allow for it to happen. And then you question
Mm,
by yourself, why is it happening? Am I not good enough? Maybe I didn't do this or I didn't do that. And last night, when I was reading up on this and I was just going through, what YouTube was saying, what, ifstudies.org had said about infidelity and cheating, and as well as, Washington Post, I'm saying, but since when did this become a thing? What is it in us? Because then when we get cheated on, or when we find out that our relationship wasn't exclusive, then we go into, I've done something wrong. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not rich enough. And speaking of rich enough, it's so funny. Washington Post wrote that cheating and affairs are more common among the rich and less common in conservative cultures.
why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't think I agree with it, but I have watched a few documentaries in my days where, even a guy he was a fish monger. He said that no, I don't cheat because I'm not rich. Girls go with guys that have more money. So I'm starting up with this one girl because me and her, we're on the same playing field, is what he said. So I
Mm,
feel this idea of, the more affluent their lifestyle, sort of, I don't know, I don't agree with it. I don't feel it's the truth. I feel it's us having to look into ourselves and see what it is that drives that behavior.
mm. And I think looking into ourselves is key because it does allow us to find out maybe what is missing within ourselves. Because when it comes to
Exactly.
relationships, everything that we're creating outside of us is relating to how we feel about ourselves.
Right.
And I was actually speaking to one of a dear friend of mine, just a few months back actually, and she was having a conversation with me and saying I find myself attracting men who are actually taken,
Mm.
and not necessarily getting involved as such, but just when it comes to maybe having some chemistry or having those conversations, and then a week or so down the line finding out that they're taken, and she leaves it at that. But that's interesting because here at the School of Awakening, we know that there's the principle everything is energy. And so, what we're attracting into our life as well may be because part of us, for instance, with my friend, when we dissected where is that coming from, or why am I falling for people who are taken? For her, it was actually a lack of self love that she found within herself. And the way that she explored this was because she found herself being in a position where she wanted to be desired over another woman. So
Ooh, okay.
so
Okay.
it wasn't necessarily focused towards the man. It was
Mm.
actually more of a female to female thing, of her feeling as though somebody would find her attractive over who they're already with. And that made her feel good because she wasn't finding that in herself already.
That's what I wanted to bring up. See, it's for me, I am enjoying this conversation because it allows for us to get into our own frame of thinking, right? When we start understanding just these little choices that we're making internally, privately, create the relationships we go out to have. So that is such an interesting thought that she had, that says, I in order for me to feel pretty, I would need, and I'm sure her train of thought were not like this, but when I'm translating it in my mind, it would go, for me to feel pretty and desired, I'd need to be hotter than another woman. And that in
And
itself would create that
uh,
situation that she found herself in, right?
imagine, can you imagine? And when we did an ABC on it and we
Hmm.
took it back, and we did a process called accessing body consciousness, which allows us to maybe find out where the core memory of that thread is coming from. She found that it related to when she was in primary school and she had a crush on a boy. And that when it came to playing chase, the boy would choose the other girl. And
Mm.
so it was that case of wanting to be chosen being chosen by somebody who
Wow.
already maybe had someone around made her feel wanted, and she'd never
Wow.
felt wanted. So it's just interesting, and obviously in the back of her mind, she was on a day-to-day basis, she was quite concerned as to why these people are taken. She wasn't trying to attract anyone who was taken,
Right.
because her idea of a relationship was, single person getting together. So
Right.
it just goes to show that even though we may feel as though we might know what we want, if we're attracting different, it may be because of the memories and the energy that we hold as well.
I love
Be
that.
falling for
Thank
people
you.
who are taken, but not knowing why, and saying, why does this keep happening? I want someone single. I want a man who's available, or a woman who's available as well. So it's something to think about.
For sure. And oh my God, thank you. So kiss yourself so pretty, girl. Come on. You delivered
Thank you.
today.
I try. I'm in front of a mirror. I'm not going to lie to you.
So this is exactly it. See, these conversations here, and so thankful that you shared the process of accessing body consciousness, because it went back to primary school time. A simple game of tag and not being ran after is making her feel, or she went on, in life feeling that I want to be desired, or want to be wanted, or you know what I mean? And
I
then,
want to be chased. Yeah. I
oh
want to
my
be
goodness
chosen over
me.
someone else. Yeah.
But it's so simple, so innocent, that then it messes up our relationship vibe, and we go ahead and fall for people who are already committed.
I just want to say we attract people who are committed as well.
uh,
Before we fall, we attract them. So it's really,
Gigi,
really great to understand how we're attracting these kinds of situations before
absolutely.
we delve in, right?
For sure. And I think we should stop falling for people and start rising with
Oh,
you know
there we have it.
just leveling up there. Okay, so we've got Sangeeta on the line. I'm seeing some courageous hands shooting up. Thank you so much, Sangeeta. You are able to unmute yourself. Tell us, what are your thoughts on today's topic?
Wow, what a topic. Amazing, amazing. And I love the discussion. And I didn't want to come on and say, but something Maya said was so profound that, you know what, I feel, can it be because we are teaching our kids, especially young girls, to compete against each other? That I wanted to be chosen over another woman, or I wanted to be chosen over. Could that be that because, when they're young, we are saying you have to be better than that. You have to do better. You have to
Interesting.
get a better grades. You have to be more talented. So
Mm,
I can go out and say, look, my girl or my boy has achieved that. And this is something bothered me from very young age. I didn't like the word competition because I was thinking when I'm competing against somebody, I have to make sure that they fall and I rise.
very
I'm
nice.
better than them. So I don't know, something what Maya was saying
Mm-hmm.
that just triggered me to share something. Otherwise, I was thinking to be quiet today and listen to you guys.
We love your share, Sangeeta. So you're most welcome to share. I mean, it's great to actually have these real conversations, because where else would you kind of delve into this with with an array of different people and with different experiences and wisdom to share, right? Usually we keep them within our maybe just our own friendship circle, our own family
Yeah.
circle. But
Mm,
it's nice to be able to learn from one another and also share
Maybe.
stories of those.
Absolutely. And maybe this is what I'm thinking. Maybe this is a psyche behind that, to win something or to win a man or a woman, I have to be better than somebody else. So we are
Mm.
not actually diving deep into the core of who I am because I
mhm.
have a different essence to somebody else.
I like to just pick up on that point, and thank you so much for sharing, Sangeeta. I feel in what you said, what you picked up from Maya, and what I picked up from local Alexa, in that is the media teaching us a certain level of how to relate to one another? Absolutely. If you just looking at the commercials and the tagline, I saw it first, and they're just talking about a dress,
Yeah.
okay? But I saw it first, and the garments that is draping over the body then reads on she's going out to a party, she's gonna evidently meet somebody or whatever, so she's looking hotter and better, and she saw the dress first, therefore if she saw the guy first, she's gonna get him first. And even
Yeah.
cartoons that I've watched through Comet and through the children that I've been working with, it's all competition. The conversation that the animated characters are having between each other is exactly that. So no wonder if, these rates of I don't like to call it infidelity, but just, extra people joining relationships go up. We have to address all parts of our society and our world that is leading to these unconscious, subconscious thoughts of, I have to be in competition, I have to be prettier, I have to be smarter, because that's the way I'm going to get that guy or girl.
It's very deep rooted in our psyche. And whenever I looked around, it made me really uncomfortable, because I'm thinking, what, I don't need to compete with anybody else, because what I have learned, at what my essence is, nobody else has that. The uniqueness, we are not talking about a uniqueness and embracing it, and somebody will be ready for that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Interesting. I mean, I think these are things that it's really nice to, I guess I would say, unpeel, through discussion as well. And another tangent that I wanted to also take this conversation on is considering the person, let's say, for instance, whether it's male or female, the person who you're falling for, how much are they able to give of themselves to you if they are already committed? Because right now it seems that our perspective is on the person who's falling for someone. And through the conversation we've kind of related it to the female, the female competition, or feeling as though we're not worthy, and these things are so valid. But I wonder, throughout this conversation, how do we fall for somebody who is currently with someone else? And there's no judgment on it, because I know of two people who were previously married. One had 3 children, and down the line, whilst they were married, might I add, they did end up having, working together. So they were working together with a lot of music. These two music, for example, let's say the musician Alicia Keys. I'm sure it'd be okay to mention this, who's very conscious in the way that she's working at the moment. She built a friendship with the person who she was working with at the time, the producer, Swiss Beats, and they got on so well. They had so much chemistry that they did end up developing that. And now they're in a space where they are married, and yet the two people who they were married to, or at least the gentleman's ex-wife who he has children with, all still go on holiday as, I guess, as a conscious family. They're sort of like a blended family now. So in a sense, what if at times it is actually a soul plan to get with that person, to then move forwards with them? I understand that when it comes to separation and communication, each will have their own way of going about it. But if you fall for someone who's committed, I guess it's how you actually have that communication. What can they commit to you? What are they willing to do? If they're just holding on to the person who they're with and wanting to keep you as well, then is that something that you truly desire? Or if you are falling for them and they're falling for you, are they willing to acknowledge that who they're with right now probably is not working, or giving at least some type of confirmation of a future or where you two are? Am I the only one who's thinking this as well, by the way? Do type in on the chat
I'm loving
box.
this.
Because I feel if you're with someone, if you might be falling for someone, if they're falling for you back, if you're receiving that mutual, experience, then maybe a conversation needs to be had. Where do you see this going? Do you see a future? And if so, what are you doing about your current situation?
Right.
Because you can't have two at the same time and expect that they're both going to go forwards.
And it's exactly that conversation. Then when do you make that when do you take that relationship to the next step? Understanding that person is committed. And just to go back a little bit, I feel when talking about those 4 bodies and seeing whether that person ticks and checks all those boxes, perhaps the physical body should be the last one that should be checked, right? Because
tell us why, Anya.
I'm just about to. Because here's the thing, everything is energy. So when you have made that union and made it a physical relationship, you are taking on that person's imprint, you're taking on that person's energy. So whatever has happened before you two became an intimate couple, whether he or she is with somebody else, you technically are with that somebody else as well. So your energy levels, the thoughts that you're having, the emotions you are experiencing, all of that is being imprinted and infused in you every time the both of you are intimate. Hence why conversation, communication is so key and so crucial before any intimate exchange happens there. At the same time, for women especially, because it's so, our bodies take in information whereas the man's body takes out, and then this obsession of, is he thinking about me, and whatever else is happening. You are energetically impregnating yourself with that person's energy, whomever they're with at that time as well, the feelings that they have for that person and for you. But without you actually being so in tune with your body's consciousness, you will feel like you don't know what is happening inside of you, because there is three sets of
Yes,
information that is happening. And I'm
exactly.
having
So
this
you're,
conversation so we can really all think about the order in which we go about committing to relationships.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's key. It's so key. And I must say, and from being portal coordinator, I do get to speak to many of our members from around the world, UK, India, US, and so on. And I actually have had an experience where I spoke to a member of a school at the time, and they were sharing their experience of being with their partner after a while. Now they weren't swapping partners, I must say, they weren't going between two, but just to give an insight into the way that their energy impacts us when we've shared physical intimacy, is this person found that they're very upbeat, they have very high energy, very clear thoughts. But once they were with their partner after a long time, who their partner was going through a very low time, depression at the time, they found themselves to feel absolutely lethargic. Their
Mm.
energy was depleted, they couldn't think straight, their mind was foggy. And when we looked into it, because it was very out of the sort of normal way of being for them, when we looked into it, we found that actually it's because they recently were physically intimate, so they took on their partner's energy. And so it does actually have an impact on our energy. So when I say energy levels, your
Your
motivation
moods,
to get up
yeah.
and go, your emotions, your moods, everything. So as you said, if there's two, then if you are mixing, then that's inevitably going to have an impact on yourself and feelings of uncertainty as well. But what if, and I do want to ask this to everybody to give your opinion too, what if you don't get to the physical level, but you are in a space of falling for somebody? What if you just generally fall for someone who is taken and you don't even know how to tell them? What if you're just in a space of wanting to express that you've fallen for them? Is there any advice or guidance that we can go about it? Would you decide to, knowing that it could impact the way that they see their current relationship, or are you someone who would probably keep it to yourself and
That is.
decide, actually, no, I don't want to. I recognize that they are taken, so I don't want to cross that boundary out of
That question
respect.
makes
And
me laugh, Maya, because why would
why
you
are you
tell
making me laugh?
because, like, why would you tell them if you had no intention of pursuing it? I feel in asking that question, you then seed that thought into that person's mind to say, I really like you, but I understand that you're in a relationship. Then, they either say they're really strong and say, actually, well, I'm very happy and very much in love with who I'm with, so thank you for the compliment. Or their mind starts going, ooh, well, maybe, they perhaps they can start looking for not a way out, but see, faults in the relationship so that they can perhaps entertain this new energy. I'm saying, if you have no, and I think it goes back down to values and boundaries. If you have no desire to pursue that, but you're really appreciative of that energy, let it be. Keep that between yourself and source. But if you're wanting to pursue it, then of course you're going to say something about it.
Hmm. Can I also just say that we have our Dr. Evie on the line as well, and it would be so nice to hear from the doctor during the love term. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. Doc, you can't take the floor every time, anytime.
I loved your example to do with the partner that was experiencing lethargic energy. And I just really, the point that I raised in the chat box was that the partner that that gentleman was now with was probably experiencing a higher energy. So they probably felt a lot better in that relationship, whereas his energy had potentially taken a downturn. So it's almost like they balanced out or they compensated.
Interesting. Interesting.
I've experienced that myself with relationships when things start to go wrong and you're wondering why that's worked in the past and it hasn't anymore, and but you've recognized that the other person is getting more highs within their lives and more things are becoming more successful. So it's almost like there's quite a symbiotic relationship going on, and it's just getting that weave and balance. But as we become conscious beings, we're recognizing what's happening for us. It's always beautiful to be with a conscious partner, like just purely being aware of what's going on for them, what's stagnating, what hasn't changed. Is their work making their day-to-day energy quite low for the household, that type of thing. So it's always very key to have it for both parties.
For sure, absolutely. I love your share, Dr. Evie, and I think that that goes back to relating to, are you on par with them quanta-wise in your spiritual body as well? So if you're aware of your energy and your partner isn't, and you're wanting to connect in that way, I guess that brings that awareness as to the importance of that as well in that aspect. But again, we'd love to hear from you. I mean, what if you do fall for someone who's committed already? Do you go ahead and love, or do you not? And the big thing with this topic, I do feel, is no judgment. Is one of our principles at the School of Awakening, because there's so many times where we as people say, "Oh, I would never do that. Oh, I wouldn't go there. Oh, no, 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 no." And we can, we've maybe heard stories of such things happening from movies to celebrity or whatnot, and have an opinion or have grown opinions based on conversations with others. But when we find ourselves in that position, it can be very hard to navigate, not as black and white as one might feel it would be, because now our own emotions are involved. Now our own understanding of, what a connection feels like might be very different. The kinds of relationships you might have had before, you might have seek this kind of connection in previous relationships and finally found it and finally felt like you found your soulmate, but the circumstances aren't aligning. So it's almost like, do I completely give up this opportunity? Not to step on anybody's toes. I mean, two people could very easily say, actually, we found a connection here, and give me some time. I can't jump into it with you right now, but give me some time so I can speak to my current partner, and maybe end that before I step into anything with you. Things can be done in a conscious way as well. I do feel that yeah.
No, that's it right there. I think it's the manner in which we go about falling for those that are in committed relationships or are committed.
The observation that I have made here while working with the School of Awakening and our students, and also my own, is that many times it's first the mind that, first of all, starts making some assumptions, or maybe starts making things happen or make us believe in certain things. And why I'm saying this, because our mind is very much, we can be very open to other people's suggestions. We can be very open to start questioning our own feelings, start questioning intention of other person, especially our partner, without knowing without knowing their full story, what's making them feel this way, right? If we feel that our partner is distant, especially I think it's very common for women that we start overthinking. There was this funny cartoon about a woman being in bed with her husband, and there was like her thought process was, he hasn't spoken to me today, he hasn't messaged me, he hasn't sent me any hello, he didn't kiss me in the morning, he's not talking to me now, he's not even trying to have any intimate conversation with me or even intimate interaction. And the husband's cloud thought thinking was, my car is not working, I wonder what can be the reason behind it. So it's about understanding, yes. And so basically we tend to overthink, overanalyze our partner's behavior and our own feelings as well. And if, for example, we meet someone and we are not sure whether we should stay in this relationship or whether we should pursue some other relationship, we might go to certain people like tarot readers, nothing against them, people who are psychic, and ask them for the solution, right? And what if they say, yes, I can see that you will be with this person that has this certain energy, and what if we actually make this decision based on whatever the other person is saying without really tuning into our own emotions, into the energy of the entire relationship? What if actually it's our mind that also is very much open to suggestions from others, and we just don't trust ourselves? That's what actually, what if this is what makes us go into other relationships while we are already in a committed relationship?
Oh, that is that is a hot dang, if you will. Anya, go for it.
Too hot damn.
You know what, Alexa, you've hit the nail on the head, because as you mentioned, when we're in that predicament and we're asking for guidance outside of ourselves, the universe will, if we're asking for guidance, the universe will give us guidance, and it may come in many different forms. Some might be through readings that you get. And again, being that we are a school of consciousness, we're not knocking any readings that people receive, because many a time I'm sure they are very much what somebody needs to hear. At times it can be what somebody needs to hear so that they feel so empowered to tune into their own voice, to tune into their own guidance, as you mentioned. And also knowing that everything has a time frame, especially when it comes to readings. When you receive a reading, it's based on where you are at in that moment in time.
Right.
But as your life evolves and as time goes on, your reading will continue to change. Readings are not set for forever, because your free will is part of that as well.
Absolutely.
And our free will allows us to choose and decide, which inevitably changes it. But also, what's interesting, when you said that, it straight away made me think how one can maybe, if you receive information or an opinion from a friend who says go for it, and you go for something that you wouldn't normally do based on somebody backing you in a way, because that's what you're getting, aren't you? You're getting some kind of confirmation or seal of approval from an external party that allows you to feel like, you know what, I'm going to do it. It almost allows the gate to be open for you to go for it and not take responsibility for looking after different aspects of your current relationship. Am I making sense by saying that?
You
It's almost
are.
allowing you, it's almost giving permission, but then you also have to take responsibility.
That's it right there.
You getting that permission.
That's it right
because
there.
You
And
chose to do it. Yeah.
And checking in with yourself along the way, when someone's given you permission or given you that seal of approval, like go ahead, you still in yourself know. There's always that gut feeling, or whether it's not a gut feeling, it's just a sense that this doesn't feel right, or yes, it feels light in my body. Then you know that what you're doing is truly what you wanted to do. Sangeeta, I see you've had your hand up for quite some time. Hello, you may unmute yourself.
I was thinking, me again. Okay. All of this discussion made me go somewhere, and I want to pose that question. What if, when we are in a relationship and we get attracted to somebody else, or we attract somebody else, what if actually what we are missing in that relationship is not from the other person? It is something within us
Absolutely.
that we want to fulfill. Because again, our relationship is reflecting that.
Absolutely. And I feel a relationship, yes, is about two people, yet at the same time you are that person who is also feeling what you're feeling. Therefore the expression and the way we communicate with one another is so crucial, to having us create more spice, or more, more calmness, more harmony within the relationship.
Because I tell you why. Yeah,
please
absolutely.
do.
Why I say it, because I have seen my life, and throughout my life experiences, whenever I looked at other person to say, okay, you're not fulfilling my need, and I have blamed that person and created disharmony. When actually, with this conscious awareness, with the work we are doing with the school, when I looked within me, I was thinking, what is stopping me to create that? Why I'm putting that pressure on somebody else to
Mm.
bring that joy in me? Maybe somewhere, maybe I am not creating joy enough. How about, rather than wanting or expecting, how about me creating for me and then sharing?
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that, Sangeeta. I love that because if you are in that position of not having that love within you and you go into a relationship, there's a lot of pressure you're applying to somebody outside of you to
Yeah.
bring you so much. And they are
And
their own
usually,
person as well. Yeah.
yeah, and usually they fail you because, and that's again, we all need
True.
to work on ourselves and saying, how can I mean, I have changed certain way of looking at things, and more I work on me, more and more I say, how can I fulfill me? Yeah.
Mm.
And then when I fulfill me, actually I realize that other people are pouring down the same thing that I was craving and was not coming
Mm.
from the very people.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I went out and said, I am going to go out and see what makes me happy. Why am
Right.
I expecting
Mm.
somebody else to make me happy when I don't even have a clue?
Mm. And that is
True. And if I,
key.
yeah,
Sorry, do you want to go for it, Maya?
go, go, go. I'm listening.
I was just saying that is key to all relationships. When we, as those individuals, know what it is that makes us happy. So when we come together as two people, we are just making each other happier, as opposed to looking for that person to fill us up,
Yeah.
because they
Mm.
will always fail,
Yeah.
only because
Because they,
we're so layered, and
yeah.
we all have work to do. So it's
Oh,
not that
yeah.
their attempts are not good enough, but why are we relying on somebody else to make us fully and totally happy and complete, when we ourselves, we are complete beings? We just we thrive even more so when we are connected. People should be complementary, not supplementary.
Oh,
People don't look at people to complete you, look at people who will complement you. It always is, the
Absolutely.
work
absolutely.
is always within us, isn't it? And maybe that's the craving. So before we step out and look for that craving or something that is missing in our us or our relationship, rather than looking towards somebody else to fulfill that, first try to fulfilling it by looking and working on yourself. And if it still doesn't get fulfilled, if you're still not happy, then yes, step out and find love, because I feel everybody deserves to be
Deserves
loved.
it.
Everybody deserves
Absolutely.
love,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
100%. 100%. And, just going based off what you said, I think also acknowledging that committing to yourself is equally as important as embracing somebody committing to you.
Right.
Because if you are in
Right.
avoidance of your thoughts, if you are in avoidance of your emotions, if you are in avoidance of where you're truly at right now, then how do we expect somebody else to fully commit to us when we're
We
avoiding the person in the mirror?
Thank you. So
Perfect.
true. So true. And when we are not committing to ourselves on, basic, small, agreement points, when we are breaking our own promises to ourselves, then that energy is reciprocated from somebody outside of us. Just going into the chat box here, Mr. Rar says, the answer is always in us, and the universe is always giving us signals. It's just that we're not always listening. So when
And
we are in tune with ourselves, we can actually bring those broken or fragmented pieces back into wholeness. What say you, Miss Maya?
beautiful, beautiful. I agree. I absolutely agree. And I also think that there's times in our life where it's hard to look within. It
Yeah,
can be difficult to find out, where do I start, because I've
right.
been through quite a lot. So I don't know which part triggered this or what happened there to make this happen. So I really do think it's a great time to also mention that we do connect with everybody at the School of Awakening, where you might want to experience speaking to someone confidentially, having an ABC session to guide and support you through your memories, through your emotions, with no judgment, to support you in that process of finding out where that particular feeling or that particular trigger is coming from. Because if you've just jumped into this for the first time, let's say you are now officially working on your relationships and you're finding that, hey, I've got layers and layers, it can be overwhelming. And I think
Mm.
on a day-to-day basis, when we so lightly mention, hey, work on yourself, work, the way the word work holds a lot of weight towards pressure. stress, the jobs that we do on a daily basis. So here, I mean, when it comes to looking within, maybe finding out what your energy is saying, like magnets attract, you're only going to attract something that you're holding within, the same information. If you're ready to change that information internally so you can attract something different, connect with us, let us know, and we'll be happy to do ABCs with you, to do processes with you, to acknowledge it and release it. What do you say?
Absolutely, especially when from that story that was shared earlier, decisions or thoughts that we have, when in our childhood. And I know for the gold members who are eagerly looking forward to the Gold Conscious chat, last month, when we were looking at our monthly manifesto, we addressed the inner child, the adult self, and the parent self, and aligning those three consciousness so that they could be fully present in the present, so releasing the past dreams and desires that your inner child had, the self-talk that the adult self is producing, and either allowing for you to thrive or leaving you in a slump in the corner because you can't quite hit the mark, because you're not matching up with what the parent self is saying. All of this is what, when we look at it, is what allows us to be in harmony, to be in flow, to be in golden, abundant times. So, the work that we do here is next to none. Really looking at our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual body, and everything else that's happening in between that. So it is quite a privileged space to be in. And, I hope that we are making it even more fun along the way, because it is a big thing. It's a big deal what we're doing, addressing our history, addressing the way that we were brought up to think about love or see love when it wasn't spoken about in the household. So all of this is for our greatest will and good, and for the highest good of all, because what we've experienced as people now, and if we don't fix it for ourselves or enhance it, our children will be going through the same thing. And that is just hands down fact.
Absolutely, absolutely. And your children might be grown up by now. You may not have children as of yet. And it may even be a case of you deciding that, yes, I'm at a stage in my life where maybe I feel I'm a little wiser in my experiences, and I truly want to create a change. And sometimes I just want to mention that sometimes we can be in a space of thinking, will it actually happen for me? If I get involved with this work, can things really change? I mean, does it have to only apply to those in their 30s or 20s? No, it's at any age. It's that energy is everything. Science proves it. So, the results are up to you as much as you want to actually create that change. If you're ready to really have a different life, then take those steps and be courageous with us. You don't have to do it alone.
Thank you. Guys, before we log off, I know that Alexa Mai has said this is a controversial topic. I believe it was a weighty discussion here. And I hope that you feel now that the level of no judgment that really is happening here. So therefore, if a saucier or racier topic comes on board, y'all get involved, and thank you, Sangeeta, and everybody else who shared, because it's within these shares that we get to expand our points of view. We get to see things in a way that we haven't yet seen before. There is literally no judgment here, because that's detrimental to the research. Okay. And the research here is gaining a wider, a better, deeper understanding of us as a species, as a human race, right? So when we go into any sort of relationship, because all of life is relationships, we're able to profile people. We're able to see where they fit in and why they are at that level of consciousness that they're in. Good, bad, right, wrong. It's like we're all here learning how to figure this life thing out,
For sure.
So let's ask quality questions of each other. Let's ask the questions that we feel are too juicy to ask, never too juicy. Because here, it may just be the breakthrough we were all looking for. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there and saying you are all welcome to have these conversations with us anytime, every time. We are a live 24-hour platform, voluntary-based, ran Zoom flow, because we want to ensure that 24 hours, 7 days a week, there's somebody online, because you never know when The inspiration might take someone who wants to write a book or wants to, reconsider their life path here on earth. So we're here to really guide everybody to living their best lives wherever they are in their journey. And so if you're wanting to be a host here, hold the space for 3 hours at a time, or come on in and have a conversation with us, or just be a listening ear, then this is the space that we are creating as a light community for you to do just that, for you to expand in consciousness by connecting with our portal coordinator, who is an expert at what shoe fits. And as you know, local Alexa, you're a local agent of change, because the ninth principle is growth is inevitable. So as nature is growing and expanding, we hope to do the same with you too. Local Alexa, you're muted.
I just want to say that I really truly enjoy this conversation, and who knows, maybe as a result of this conversation, we will start looking into our own thoughts, into our own bodies even more, the emotions, and really really become the spice of our own life, so we can improve it together.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexa. And any parting words from you, Miss Maya?
No, I just wanted to say, I say yes, they no, but I mean yes. Thank you for this conversation, because I know that me and Alexa started off saying it's a bit controversial, but I think as we went through this conversation, we can reflect and say, hey, sometimes the stories which are shared on media make these situations a little bit more dramatic than they are. But when we touch base on a human level and recognize that it could happen to any one of us, and there's always a way to learn through it and to consciously approach it, then it just gets even better. So thank you so much for everybody's shares. I've really enjoyed today's conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Maya and Alexa, and all those who contributed. Yes, conversations are definitely healing. So when real people come together to have real conversations, then that's where real change starts to occur. So thank you for taking the time and for choosing to invest your Source Sunday with us here on Zoom Flow. 352-367-242. The number to dial every time, anytime you'd like to have a conversation or just hang around with a conscious friend or two.